This is the closest I'll ever be to being a rock star. Good morning, Birmingham. I'm Maruchy Lachance, and I want to just get started by giving you a brief overlook as to what I do, what our company does. Can you all hear me? I'm sorry. Okay. Did you get the part about good morning, Birmingham? I didn't get like the applause I thought I'd get. Okay. Anyway, so Robert and I are actually out of Golden, Colorado. We have a 27,000 square foot facility there. We run it in GMP standard, and what that means is that we follow all of the protocols, all of the standards that are available to us and to our industry to ensure that the products that we are making are the closest to nutraceuticals that we possibly can. For us, it is extremely important that in this type of industry that is new, that is ever growing, and it's in its infant stage, that we provide all of the safety nets afforded to us so that our consumers, our clients, and everyone using it are assured that we have got the very best product, has efficacy that we could get out there for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and punt this over to Robert. He's going to go ahead and just give you a little bit of insight as to how we grew and how we got here today.
Good morning, everybody. Boulder Botanicals, as you heard in our resumes, is a company that's been around since 2015. But actually, we started the manufacturing of nutraceutical and pharmaceutical products in 1997. We entered the space in 2015 after 2 years of research into the ingredient to find out if we could actually make a product out of it. So we've been in the industry for more than a minute. If you look at the industry as a whole, when we stepped into the industry back in 2012 and 2013, there were really no guidelines, no basis for manufacturing, there were no quality standards, nothing existed. So we had to look at this and make a complete investment from all the way from the seed to the actual shelf. And why we did that was for quality control and assurance. So we made very large-scale capital investments. So we actually own our farms, own our cultivars. We're registered farmers. We're registered seed sellers and commodity resellers. We own all of our manufacturing and formulation operations, all the way down to labeling, compliance, and distribution. And why we had to make those investments is we found tremendous issues with the ingredient in itself. So if you're coming in the industry and you need 5 things you need to know, really. You really need to know, number one, you need to know about biomass, the material that makes the core ingredient, where it's coming from, how it was grown, what the material, was there pesticides, no pesticides, soil samples. You need to look at the industry all the way back to what's actually in the earth, because that plant will absorb it, and if you do any type of testing down the line, you'll find out that those ingredients become tainted with that material. It gets absorbed into the plant, and then you can't utilize it for human consumption. The second piece you really need to know is about processing. Processing is a problem that we have across the board throughout the entire industry. We've imported material from the EU, we've imported material from Eastern Mediterranean, we've bought product from all over the United States, and I'm going to tell you, 3 out of every 4 suppliers of material to us fail compliance. That's a big number. 75% either have high solvents, waxes, volatiles, pesticides, chemicals, and are not safe for human consumption. So if you're looking at taking on, it's very important that you test any material that comes in, or you go to a manufacturer that has very high testing standards and operational methodologies to make sure that those products and ingredients are safe for human consumption or for topical skin use, if that's the route that you're going to go. The next piece is manufacturing. As you guys are probably aware, if you're going to do self-manufacturing, there is a process to understanding the material. It isn't water soluble, no matter what anybody tells you. It is an oil, it is a lipid. There's all sorts of processes to get it into the ingredient correctly and make sure that it can be absorbed by the human body if that's what you're going, or by the skin. And you want to choose a manufacturer that actually has some knowledge base in this. Now, why am I in front of you? Just to give you an idea. 3 years ago, manufacturing of CBD products in our organization was only 1.4 million US, or just shy of 900,000 pounds. This year, our manufacturing for cannabinoid products alone hit $185 million, which is a little over 100 million pounds. So in 4 years, the company has grown. We don't even manufacture any other nutraceutical product anymore. We have completely moved out of any other form of manufacturing in just 4 years. Think about that. The sheer consumption of the amount of ingredients that we utilize is over 350 kilos of active milligrams per month just for cannabinoid products. So we see a lot of people's material. We test farmers rigorously. We have an entire QA process just to bring in raw biomass into our company, which I would be the first question I ask any manufacturer in here is, how do you test your biomass and what are the processes to test that biomass?
The majority of our budget actually goes to lab testing, because everything that does come in, we quarantine immediately, and 9 times out of 10 we run into issues, which is the reason that Robert will probably explain to you why we are actually seed to shelf. The best thing I could tell you is that the way that our company was created was necessity was the mother of invention, and at every turn we had to create the vertical for ourselves in order to be able to control all of the product, the ingredients, and again, ensure the quality and the safety.
The next piece I'm going to talk about is packaging and labeling. One of our biggest battles with all the private label manufacturing that we do is usually with our end consumer or end customer, and actually the labeling requirements. As in you guys, in every state, every country, there are individual laws that relate to how a label can be done. We are constantly at war with a lot of our customers over making claims and making false requirements into labeling and putting all the wrong things on labeling. So labeling compliance is extremely critical in manufacturing and in your final product, and you should utilize some form of legal team or FDA compliance company to, or in this case UK compliance, to look at your labels, make sure that you're compliant and you're not creating any liability issues as it relates to your final packaging. And then the last piece, which we're all involved with every minute of every day, is regulation. As you know, if you're going to step into this industry, you need to be able to pivot very quickly. To give you an idea, one of our last customers in the northeast of the United States, they changed the laws within a 5-minute, and we literally had to do a relabel run for that customer, and it was actually 2 tractor trailers loads of product. So we have to be able to move very quickly, and if you're going to enter into this dynamic environment, and it's rapidly growing and rapidly changing, you need to be able to move quickly, have a good legal team and a good compliance department or a good compliance person to work with, so you can move and change as the laws change. Go ahead. And I know we only have 30 minutes. How long are we on the time? We know? Okay, so, sorry, we're trying to do this very abridged. Normally this is a 1-hour presentation, so we're moving as quick as we can.
So I'm going to mention BIOVA. So one of the things that we did at our company, because again, we anticipate all of the questions and issues that everyone in this industry is having, be it our clients or our consumers. So what we went ahead and did was we created the BIOVA label. What this label does for the consumer is it appears on everything that comes out of our manufacturing facility. And what it is a quality assurance, but we like to say that internally, it's actually a quality accountability. It's the sign that tells everyone that works within our facility that everything we do has to be done to standard. We have an internal mantra that nothing leaves our facility that we would not put in our children's mouth, and that includes our pet products. We've tested all the pet products. So what the BIOVA label does is it's trying to get ahead in an industry that, again, is very, what would you say? It's an infant state, and people have a lot of question about it, and they don't know the legitimacy of it. So again, what this label does is it gives people the ability to come on this website, and there's actually traceability. So when you're reading this, you're seeing that we actually grow our own material. You get to see pictures of our facility. You get to interact with folks that actually work within our facility. Just to give you a quick as well about our employees, there's no one in our facility that hasn't been doing their job between 15 to 25 years. So again, in this very iffy industry, the best thing you could do is try to onboard as many people as you can that can actually guide you through and provide you the very best experience for whatever it is you're doing, whether you're manufacturing or whether you're actually selling consumer products.
Transparency is very critical from the consumer point, and also depending on where you're selling your product. In the United States, it's very critical because there are only so many Farm Act compliant states, so you must have
Transparency.
You must have transparency. It's morning. I flew from the United States. I'm very tired. You must have transparency to make sure that you're even complying with law. So it is important. In the United States, it's very critical to the end consumer. They like to be able to walk up to a label, hit a QR code, and see all the way back to where that material was planted and its entire process. And we offer that as a private label manufacturer to every one of our customers. And we weren't sure how many would actually utilize it, but so far 100% of our customers currently use the BIOVA transparency program.
Question?
Yeah, do you guys have any questions?
You may.
Take this one. I'll do that.
As you manufacture, I was wondering if you could comment about delivery systems that I come across lately. For example, I've seen capsules with CBD which claim to be acid resistant. Do you really need that? And then the other question is, now there is this hype around nano, I don't know if it's liposome, whatever. Does it really increase delivery and availability of CBD? Thank you.
Great question.
Am I on? So she was asking basically about absorption and whether a liposome or something that is resistant to acids or so on and so forth help with the bioactivity of the lipid. It is a lipid, so if you look on the absorption scale from a starch to a lipid, it's on the far right. It takes a lot for the body to process that product and that ingredient into the human body. So there are ways that you can enhance absorption and bioactivity. There are certain ingredients that work. Again, I don't know what liposome or what encapsulation process you're talking about, what the micron size, and this isn't a science place, but there are things that you can do to increase bioactivity, and we utilize a lot of those components. But again, without actually knowing the direct science of what you're talking about, I couldn't answer the question. But topical, there are 16 known carriers. You know, usually there's 4 or 5 that are extremely effective in taking cannabinoids into the human skin through transdermal. And the rest of them really don't work that well. In capsules, you know, I would look for starch-based capsules where there's some form of lipid absorption to a starch, because that's going to let your amylase and protease take it into your body. There's different processes to get the lipid more effective. Nano encapsulation or liposomal encapsulation works. A lot of times it's used in beverages or spray drying processes utilized in beverages. We make a lot of these products. If you want, you can come back by the booth later this afternoon, and I'll be there all day, and I can answer a lot of those questions. If you want to get into some deep science, I'm there. Other questions?
Hold on, sir. I'll bring the mic over to you. Save your throat.
Nutraceuticals are by definition for medical use. In this country, you can't use things for medical use. In the United States, can you use your products medically? I mean, is that legal?
So the FDA has only cleared one product, which is Epidiolex, GW Pharma. That's the only product that actually been cleared for medical use. And so they moved and they migrated CBD in the United States to a Schedule 5, which means it has to be issued by prescription. So what we do in our manufacturing process, we don't isolate the molecule. We don't use an isolated molecule, which for us, if we actually took CBD and made it an isolate, and then took that isolate and put it into a product, that would be an adulterated product and would classify under Schedule 5. So we only use hemp lipids when we manufacture products for our customers, and we strongly advise that to stay within the level, the law within the United States. Did that answer your question? Yeah, I know it. Come up here.
It's just that the phrase nutraceutical is for medicine.
Yeah, here.
So yeah. But anywhere, it's the definition of the word nutraceutical.
Right.
For medical use. So do you use that word in the U.S.?
Not really, no. We
No.
utilize hemp-based food products is what we utilize.
Perhaps you heard that at the beginning when you first got here, because we actually came from the nutraceutical side, and then we just applied that business model into this new industry. But we do not call it, we cannot even call it dietary supplements, which is what we called it in the nutraceutical side when we worked there.
Yeah, in the United States, as here, the laws are constantly changing. And as you know, we just cleared a Farm Act, and now the FDA is about to make comments in the United States. So we'll have a better understanding of what and who, and whether it's Title 21 or DOSHA. We don't know yet because they really haven't given it that guidance. So at the moment, we just classify it as a food product and a nutrition panel on all the products.
Any other questions, sir?
Hold on, sir. I'll bring the mic to you.
Hi, just wondering, in terms of your quality assurance process, when you receive extracted material, do you see any difference between ethanol extracted and CO2 extracted materials?
Yes, we do. Yes. There are variances. A lot of times it's residual solvents that we have a lot of issues with on the post-production process. Also, when we do our initial testing, more products are rejected for residual solvents and pesticides than anything else when they're coming in on a raw ingredient in quarantine.
So do you have a preference between the two techniques?
Personally, at the moment, I believe ethanol is just a much cleaner process, and it's controllable. I believe when some of the more larger scale operations that are used to extracting biomass, like some of the large mill companies that do wheat germ and vitamin D and so on, when they enter this marketplace, they'll be able to bring a QA process that will resolve a lot of those issues in CO2 and other types of extraction. But at the moment, ethanol is the cleanest way to, even if there's solvents, you can still clean the solvents out of the material.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any
That
further
gentleman
questions
over
on the
there.
floor?
All right, guys. What are some of the issues you face at the customs in the UK when you're importing products here?
Some of the estimates for customs,
Some of the issues you might face at customs clearance in the UK.
most likely is going to be THC levels. Currently, on our exports to the UK, we haven't had any issues, but we make sure that any material that gets exported to the UK, we 000 the THC. So we completely remove the THC column utilizing chromatography and then manufacture the products with a distillate that's derived from hemp, but we remove the column. So that's the number one issue that we've run into to make sure that we can qualify customs.
And do you need an independent inspector like SGS or Intertech to confirm the THC levels once you're here?
Yes, you're going to have all your recordings and your testings done here on the same side.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Any further questions from the floor?
That gentleman there.
Hold on, sir.
Hi there, my name is Bobby. I've got a couple of questions regarding your global supply chain, your chain, how you support people in the UK or companies within the UK from your perspective.
How we support them?
That's correct.
In what aspect?
So obviously the gentleman over there has sort of raised the issue with regards to customs, but also with regard to the products that you actually sell. How you support the businesses in the UK to promote your products, for one. And secondly, if laws are changing in the UK, are you kind of monitoring that to support a global sort of supply chain?
First off, on the law changes, yes, we're trying to stay constant with the laws. As you know, they're changing dynamically. And what just happened, 10 days ago, the laws just changed again. So, and I'm not going to go into a legal thing. I know somebody did that earlier. But yeah, there's a constant. And as a support, when we step in with a customer, whether it's a domestic customer, Japanese customer, UK customer, we sit down from ground zero with our project management teams and try and get a complete understanding of what we're doing all the way through where that product's going. And if it's either our own brands, what is our customer support and how we're doing branding and pull programs and so on and so forth. Or if we're doing actual just private label manufacturing, making sure that that material is done in a timely fashion, shipped, clears customs. We're extremely cognizant of a lot of the issues because we've been doing this for more than a minute. And I've moved product all over the world. So we have a very superior understanding of logistics as it relates to natural substances, food products, and transport across cross-border. But I could sit down if you want, come back to the booth, and I can tell you a little bit of our programs and actually show you how we do it.
Sure, but one of the, probably if you're dealing with local organizations within the US, it's probably a lot more easy to support them. But when you're actually dealing with international companies, basically like the UK, for example, like you mentioned, there was a label change that needed to be in place within a short period of time. Mm-hmm. How would you be able to support that at an international level?
On an international level, we would probably work with someone local who's a local bottler. If there was a label change or requirement, we'd bring that bottler online, ship them the labels, give them the SOPs, and move rapidly if we had to do a label change. There's, as you know, there's co-packers all over the world. It's just a couple of phone calls and then getting their support and the SOP to change that product or label.
And what we understand being in this industry is that what everyone here needs, especially from a manufacturer, is a partner. You need someone that you know is in this industry, understands it, but also is mature enough to see that there's going to be quick changes. You guys are going to have concerns. So you're going to need to have a partner, not just someone that you write a check to. So we are extremely, for that very reason, we're extremely knowledgeable. We make it our business. I mean, Robert, everyone thinks that he's a scientist. He isn't. He just made it his business to understand every little thing about this molecule, because it isn't something simple like everyone assumes it is. So absolutely. And anyone that you work with, and we will say this over and over, any manufacturer that you so choose to become involved with, make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure that they are willing to work with you, that they are willing to take accountability and responsibility for any of these changes so that you maintain protected.
And most importantly, make sure that they will allow you to come into their facility and look at their manufacturing and their processes. We get audited on a regular basis by all the major corporations. We supply a lot of big brand names products, and we've been audited numerous times. You, no matter small or large, you should be able to walk into your manufacturer and do an audit or at least a site survey or a site review to make sure that they're not some in backyard or some bungalow somewhere filling product in the back of an office by hand. And yes, I've actually seen that, so I'm speaking from absolute clarity.
And if you're ever in Golden, Colorado, please stop by and visit us.
That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, have you got any further questions? No? I think there's one thing I'm going to take away from this is that nothing leaves your facility that you would not put in your children's mouths. I think that's a fantastically ethical way to attack your business, and it's fantastic. Would you please put your hands together for Robert and Maruchy? Thank you very much.
Thank you.